King P here,
And S6E7.
and welcome to another episode of This Week in Metropolis. On this episode, we speak to Josh from Just Films and That about how he started the podcast and also about our top 3 underappreciated films.
We hope you enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to This Week in Metropolis.
Welcome to another episode of This Week in Metropolis. We are very pleased to be joined by one half of the Just Films and That podcast. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Alice couldn't be with us today, your co-host, your partner in crime of the show. So we send our regards to her.
Well, unacceptable.
Have a word. But I hope she listens to it.
She doesn't even listen to me. She will listen to it. She will listen to it.
Can you tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, so we're a podcast that we talk about, like, it started off underrated and underseen films, and then as we've gone on and on, we've just sort of expanded it into underrated films, underseen films, films we just want to talk about, and then we sort of brought in recently like classic films, films that like these huge films that are always in these top lists that no one ever actually, some people don't ever get round to seeing. So like we recently did The Great Dictator. We did like Meet Me in St. Louis, not necessarily all old films, but these classic films that people say are classic films. So we just talk about it each week. Sometimes we have guests on, which is usually a laugh. They pick the film, and that's about it really. We just talk about films. It came from like, I don't want to not one of those people like, I've got an interesting take, because everyone thinks I've got an interesting take. It's not that. It's, I've always liked films, and so I often found that a lot of the films that I would try and watch that were like critically acclaimed, I'd sort of come away, not every single one, love The Shawshank Redemption, The Godfather's amazing, Citizen Kane's amazing, but there were certain films I was coming away from going, I just didn't do it for me. And there's other films I liked that like I'd read, it was like, why does everybody hate this film? So that sort of thing really, and then it just was born out of enjoying chatting about films really.
Do you review? Do you watch? Do you watch? Do you read a lot?
He doesn't ever watch them.
Do you watch any film?
Do you watch films? No, just TV. Just TV.
Something that always bugs me is film reviews that you read in The Guardian or on magazines and all of that, where they'll slate a film, and I just think, well, that's your opinion. Like, ultimately, I'll watch a film, and it'll be down to me whether I enjoyed it or not. And sometimes I feel like people are swayed too easily by these reviews. Do you tend to read a lot of them?
Not. I get the general gist of stuff from when things come out, but I never swear by it. I quite often find Mark Kermode is usually right when he talks on the film show, but no, because I think sometimes there is an element of trying to find stuff to say about films. Because you've got to write something. We did an episode a few weeks ago on The Losers, which is well, you probably know, is a comic book film from about like 10, 11 years ago. And one of the reviewers just said something like, some of the cast deserve better, like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Some of the cast very much deserve this film, like Chris Evans. And first of all, I thought, if you could see what he's done.
That's it.
This guy, dude's fucking Captain America, right?
Yeah.
But also, why just have a pop? Like there's no need. So no, not really. There are certain people whose take I put a lot of stock in. Mark Kermode, I very much, when it comes to comic book films, I very much listen to Mr. Sunday Movies, people like that. No, in a roundabout way to answer your question, no, not really. I don't put a lot of stock in. I'll make my own mind up, because so often I've disagreed with their take.
You mentioned You tend to, or at least started talking about films that you underappreciated or watched the first time round and go, well, I didn't quite. Who do you and Alice take turns in picking them films, or is it a kind of we saw this one together and didn't like it, or what?
No, it's always just picked on a week on, week off basis. So it started off just me and Alice picking, and then Alice, me, Alice, and then it became me and Alice, maybe a guest, and then it was listener suggestions. So we've done a couple of listener suggestions. We've only one's come out so far, but we've done others, and then a mixture of classic films. So it kind of became, it's kind of week on, week off. So like if we're going to do a listener suggestion, one of us, we've got a list of what people have suggested, and we'll pick them. So we did. One of our more recent episodes was Drop Dead Fred, and that was a listener suggestion. So we did. So Alice picked that one because she wanted to talk about it. We've got another one coming up. I think it's So I Married an Axe Murderer, and that I picked that one because I've always wanted to talk about that and watch that. So it is week on, week off, yeah, really, unless one of us really, really wants to do something, but we just take it as it goes, really.
It's funny because I often will watch a film or even a TV show if we're going to just play it on that card, but and we'll think, it just didn't do anything for me. I mean, like, Breaking Bad, for example. Me and Matt have spoken about this enough times. As a show, just didn't work for me personally.
Sacrilege.
See, and that's a prime example.
But that's it.
I remember
the internet will not forgive you.
But I remember, there's a theme in my life where if someone tells me this is the best thing you're ever gonna see, like this is amazing, you're gonna absolutely love this. It's the greatest payout, thing in the world. Quite more often than not, I don't know whether it's just in here, I'm fighting that sort of opinion. But yeah, Breaking Bad, I watched 2-3 series of it, perhaps. There was some amazing bits. There was some like breathtaking acting in there. There was some amazing scenes in there, but I felt like I was working for it. Like, is the only way I can describe it. And sort of, oh no, you got to wait. You got to, 2 more seasons.
I don't want to wait.
I want it now.
Why do I have to? Yeah, exactly. Why do I have to, wait for it to get good?
If I want a meal, I'll eat the nice meal. I won't wait for 4 meals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like having a really bad main, but the dessert is amazing, but you've got to eat the main first. Well, no, I don't really want to. Yeah, I'd rather it all be good.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit like that with this is if there's anything worse than Breaking Bad, it's this. I was like that with Game of Thrones.
See, I hate Game of Thrones.
I think I got into halfway through 2 or 3 series, I can't remember, and I just remember going, this is nothing. It's just it's just dragons and tits, which on paper sounds great, but I want story and character. There's no character development. If you look at, say, okay, you don't like Breaking Bad, but if you look at the character development, it's amazing.
It is fantastic.
Succession, which is one of my favorite shows. If you've not watched that, it's incredible. It's incredible. I think that'll be the next internet's favorite show. So get on it soon. So you can say they were there early.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Succession, or I'm actually at the moment, because the world has stopped and there's not loads of TV at the moment. We've been watching The Sopranos because I've never seen it before. Yeah,
see, I watched that for the first time last year. Because we had a guest on, one of James's friends, who absolutely swore by it, said, amazing thing, and he kindly bought us the first series to watch. I absolutely loved that. I was so invested in the characters. As a whole, it's amazing series.
Yeah, and I think with a strange thing with back to Game of Thrones was that I quite like to invest in a character and see them do well, and everyone just dies.
Well, I didn't make it past the first episode with Game of Thrones because I don't really do that fantasy things in some ways. No. And there's too much that. There were people being beheaded. Then it ended with incest, and then a kid saw the incest and they got killed because they saw the incest. I'm like, Jesus, is this
that's a lot of issues entertainment?
For me. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to watch this. So yeah.
I tried to watch it. I watched This Is Us for a bit. Have you ever watched that?
No.
It's like a family drama.
Yeah.
So I watched 3 or 4. I think I watched 3 series of it, and it was good, but it just became issue of the week, and not in a way that's they dealt with important stuff and they dealt with it really well, but there was sometimes I just want to be entertained.
Do you know what? I saw a really good post that someone done this week, earlier this week, about the US version of The Office, which I watched last year, and they said that they'd struggled to kind of commit to it because everyone had talked about it. Probably similar. I know it's nothing like the shows that we've just mentioned, but it was kind of making that commitment because it's 9 series, I think there is. But he said once he finished watching it, he loved it that much. He said, you know, when it's good, when you think I could quite easily watch that all again. And I think that's the thing. When it's a good series, or even a film, if you can watch a film and go, God, I'll watch that again tomorrow. When there are films that you might watch, and what was it I watched the other day? Oh, I'm currently going through all the MCU again from Iron Man onwards with the wife.
Is there a better use of time?
Exactly. So, you know, I'm watching that again, and some of these films I think, God, I think I must have, the first time I watched that was in the cinema, and I haven't watched it again since. And you see now you've seen, obviously, if you've watched all of the saga, which most normal people have, then you see things and you spot things now that you go, God, that all kind of links to other things. And I think that's one of the charms of re-watching films. And I guess one of the good things that you and Alistair, I don't know who made the decision, by calling it Just Films, and that means that it wasn't just solely focused on the underappreciated films or the underrated ones. So you can kind of branch out into any film, really.
Yeah, I mean that was made way back in the day before Alice even came on board. It was just a case of like, what are we going to call it? And it was, I remember thinking and talking to the 2 lads I was doing at the time, going, we need to just put the word films in it, and I was just like, it needs to be, you know, films and it became just films and that, and then that's what it was.
Perfect.
It's like as simple as that.
And it works.
Thank you.
What's your on the sort of subject of underrated films, what's your number 1 underrated film? What would you say?
Number 1. And it's difficult because when we talk about underrated, it's never quite clear, and this is our fault, whether we're talking about critical reception or general consensus. Because obviously everyone is an individual, everyone feels differently. From my point of view, there are films that don't get the credit they deserve, but might be still really well rated by the critics. And then there are films that are underseen and I think should be seen by more people. One of them that always sticks in my mind is a film that we did again ages ago called Warrior, with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton in it. And I had a really profound effect on me in the cinema when I saw it. And I went in with it's probably because I went in with floor level expectations. You read the plot and you're like, it's gonna be shit. Like, and I went in and I was at uni at the time, and I don't know if you do this, but you know when you get like you see an actor in something and you start watching everything they've done. That might just be me. So I was really was a massive fan of Tom Hardy. Loved because I loved Bronson, and I loved and then he did Inception and some other stuff. Well, lots of other stuff. That's why he's a massive film star. And Warrior came out, and he wasn't a huge name by this point. I think he'd only just done Inception, and so we went to watch it solely because he was in it. And when I read the plot, it was like 2 brothers, cage fighters, and I was like, oh, this sounds made for video thing. Obviously not everything an actor does is good, because at the end of the day, you got bills to pay, you got a family to feed, you got whatever. Not everything is going to be brilliant. There's not a single actor who's never done, you name any actor, you can think of a crap film they've done. That's fine. A lot of them come in for a lot of stick for that, but a postman doesn't refuse to deliver a letter, right? So it was probably Warrior, because I went in with expectations, and I was in bits by the end. Have you seen it?
No, never seen it.
I remember seeing when it came out. I want to say my dad told me to watch it as well. I'm sure he told me it was really good. But I remember it kind of being... I don't remember the critics' view of it, but I do recall the film. I know exactly what film it is. I can picture even the cover of it.
It was pretty critically well received, but it just sounds cheap. Whenever I tell people that, and I always have to... when you have to start with, hear me out. and then you tell them the plot. But then even when I've got it on DVD, remember DVDs, and I've got even on the DVD at the back, it's like all the Rockies rolled into one. And it's like it's not about. It's not actually. It's not even about UFC. It's about a family who have been torn apart by their dad, who's an alcoholic,
And it reminds me, you talking
background.
about that, it reminds me of The Wrestler with
Yeah,
Mickey Rourke.
it's a bit like that. Yeah,
That's a brilliant film,
yeah,
isn't
it
it?
is. It's a fantastic film. Yeah, so it's one of these. It's not about. It isn't about UFC. It's not
That's the side story.
Yeah, it's not a sports film that's like, I don't know. It's more about, I would say, about the family dynamic between them. And it's. I mean, critically, it was really, really well received. It's in IMDb's top, I don't know, 250 or something like that. But it's not one a lot of people have seen. But then if I read about it, I don't know if I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I did, and I just love it. It's brilliant.
Perfect.
I mean, there's loads, but that's definitely up there for me.
Well, we actually, prior to doing this, we wanted to know your top 3 underappreciated films. And
I guess we've had one.
Yeah, we've had one.
I wrote so many down.
So that would be your number 1?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, why not? Number 1. I mean, I'm not gonna. I wrote down here. This is my prep. My prep is. It says, "Can I swear?" and then a list of films, which is my one review, and then the film. So, yeah, if we say Warriors number 1. What else is? So one of the ones I think. Have you ever seen a film? This is probably more underseen. Have you ever seen a film called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Again, heard of it.
Yeah, so it's the film that got Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man.
Right. Okay.
So he was obviously, everyone knows what they know about Robert Downey Jr. in his life. So he did a film in 2005 with Val Kilmer called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, where he plays like a thief who ends up taking private detective lessons from Val Kilmer. But he's in it. It's like he breaks the fourth wall. He's a narrator, but he's a bit like he knows he's in a film. A bit like Deadpool, if you like.
Yeah.
And it's really, really funny. And it's the film that got him noticed again, I think, among other things, to play Iron Man. And when you watch it, you can see like he's doing his Tony Stark thing. But then also it's directed by Shane Black, who then went on and did Iron Man 3. Maybe think of that what you will, but yeah.
That's an alright film.
It's really good. It's but again, it's one of those films where you might watch it and be like, "What is he talking about?"
Yeah,
because that's your opinion. But also, I love it because I watched it with friends at uni, and when you're always quoting a film, that was one of them. So I have a lot of affection for that film. Some people. I was around at my partner's once, and my mother-in-law went, "Oh, it's a terrible film the other night." I was like, "Oh yeah, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang," and I was like, my heart just broke a little bit inside. but to be fair, there's another film called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is like some British comedy from like the 90s. So maybe it was that.
It was that one, definitely.
We can only hope.
One. Yeah.
So that's a good one. It's just a very funny, well-written film.
Yeah. The first one I wrote down was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which
see, I think about.
Oh God, it's over.
We've never had a guest walk out on this before.
No, to be fair, I don't mind League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I think it's a great film.
The day the late great Sir Sean passed away.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday, and I think I'd had a bottle of wine, and my other half went to bed. And I paid £9 for it on Amazon and watched it.
I wouldn't pay £9 for it, but it's a good film.
That's almost the CGI budget, £9. Yeah. But I woke up the next day and was like, why?
Why did I do that?
Why did you do this? Why did you do this one bottle of wine, Josh?
How long do you get it when you rent it? Can you watch it
I
again?
bought it.
You bought it?
You bought?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not £9 to rent.
I was going to say, Jesus.
No, I bought it. So it's usually about £3 to rent. But then I did it a few weeks ago. I wasn't even drunk this time. I just really wanted to watch Ghost Rider. And
I've never seen Ghost. What,
with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, and it wasn't available to rent at the time, so I bought it. But it was like £8. And I was like, why have I done this to myself?
God.
It's on there forever. Amazon know now.
Yeah, that's it.
They know I've bought it, but no. Sorry, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Do you know what? It gets a bad rap, that film. It isn't as bad as everyone says.
No, that's it.
That's probably why it ticks the box then.
But that's the thing. I watch it knowing it's not the greatest film ever, but it's entertaining. Bit like we said earlier, it's not the best film. It's not got the best, sort of acting or anything in it. But
it's quite a big cast, though, wasn't it?
I can't think of the other people who are in it.
Well, Josh has seen it within the last couple of weeks, so
Yeah,
That's it, you'll be able to-
Sean Connery, Jason Fleming, Richard
That's it.
Roxburgh.
Jason Fleming. Yeah. I
I
can't think the lady's name. She's
Shane's,
quite
yeah, it's
well-known
called
actress.
Petter.
Isn't she?
Petter, I think she's called. I can't remember her surname. But my favorite thing about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, first of all, it was that I think it was the film that made Alan Moore stop watching all of the adaptations.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Second of all, it was so stressful to the director, he never made another film again.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the first thing was that Sean Connery was offered Gandalf, and they offered him I believe this is true, like a percentage of the gross of all the Lord of the Rings films, and he would have made something like 500 million quid.
Yeah.
And he said no because I don't understand the plot. And so then when they made them, he went, I'll never turn down a film that I don't understand again. And the gentleman comes across his desk, yes, this one. That's the last film he made.
But wasn't it related to it as well? That he hated making this film, so
Yeah, I think so.
he hasn't done any more since. Yeah.
Oh,
I think what I like about it is it's really different. Like
Yeah.
it's the plot is sort of very different. I love the fact it pulls like Captain Nemo and everyone, but if it's an Alan Moore book, that's probably why. But yeah, I just enjoy it. It's one of those ones that I wouldn't pay £9 for, but if
Nobody
late
would.
at night, if I'm sitting there and I'm flicking through channels, it's on. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. That's brilliant.
Yes.
I'm like that with, and this could be controversial, but I'm a bit like that with Green Lantern.
I like Green Lantern. I think
once.
Green Lantern's
It's
really-
all right. Yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just not that bad. I spend it.
No.
I
It's not
agree.
good. It's not good. But I sort of, I feel like I do sit there going, but what's wrong with it? What went wrong?
Yeah,
Like, why
exactly.
is it the big cloud guy coming towards the planet that's like Galactus in Fantastic Four? I genuinely, this might be controversial, but I think that film did enough to get another one. It's not good, but it did enough to get a second one.
I agree. I completely agree with you. And I put off seeing that film for so long because of everyone, like a lot of friends of mine who saw it before me and were like, it is awful. And you kind of go, I won't bother with that then. And when I did see it, I was like, what are they talking about? I mean, he's an awesome superhero as well. Like, his power is awesome.
Anything.
Like, yeah, exactly.
We're so spoiled with comic book films, though, aren't we? It's like,
well, that's it.
when the DC one comes out, and okay, a lot of them they're not amazing, but I don't think they're bad. But a lot of people would be like, it's awful, it's the worst thing to happen ever. Fuck DC, like that. And you're like, oh, just watch Batman and Robin. Like kids that you don't know what we had to go through when the only superhero crossover we got was Batman saying this is why Superman works alone with nipples poking out. Like, it's just like you don't get it.
Well, you mentioned in DC. I think we can take a little segue away from the top three underrated films for each of us because it's time for another.
Question mark.
Hello, gents. Thanks for having me on. My question is again about the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and it's a really simple question. Should a film ever be 4 hours long?
Should that be happening?
Nope.
No.
A film. I'm a bit of like a no, 1.5 hours. I'm like a 90-minute guy.
Yeah, definitely.
But I will stretch to there are exceptions, Endgame or certain things that you think, or like films that are important with stories that need telling, Schindler's List or whatever.
Don't rush it.
Yeah, it's important to see that, but no. I mean, it's 4 hours because it's supposed to be 2 films, right? Isn't it? So, so no. I mean, I'll definitely watch it in one go. Probably not.
Yeah.
But
Just
I'm
up all night.
to see it. Yeah, I'm interested to see it because I remember watching the original Justice League, the Joss Whedon one, if you like, in the cinemas, and literally I was so because I'd seen Batman versus Superman. I went to watch it at midnight, and I was so annoyed when I got out of it. Just drove home in silence. It wasn't even my car. No, it wasn't. But and then as the lights went down on Justice League, I sat with my brother and my other half, and I literally went, "Oh God." It's like about getting marched to the plank or whatever, but it's not that bad. It's not that good, but it's just fine,
The problem, I think, and I'm sure Matt will agree with me, is that Marvel set the bar so high with what they've done. They've taken time, they've explained every individual near enough, in their own solo movies, brought them together occasionally in Civil War and other movies, and then done the Avengers movies, and then came to this big finale, which was epic. DC were like, get a load of what they're doing. Let's throw this all in 100 mile an hour, and it just didn't. You didn't connect with any of the characters. It was so rushed. And the other thing is, because Dark Knight the trilogy was so good, whoever took over the Batman role was going to get slated because it weren't Christian Bale.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? I always feel with the DC versus Marvel thing, it's almost like whoever got there first and figured out that all you had to do was do a hero at a time and bring them together and accept that fans want to see these crossovers and this synergy was going to win. So Marvel got there first, and all they did was put Nick Fury in the end of Iron Man, and that was it. Then everyone was sold.
Yeah.
And then DC sort of, it's almost like they came to it and went, we can't copy what they're doing because everyone will say we're copying what we're doing. So why don't we just try throw in anything at the fan? And then it comes back to this with DC. They're just sitting in the boardroom with a guy just going, more Batman.
More Batman. That'll work out well.
So I mean, I'm interested to see the Batman. I'm interested to see if that will be good. It looks good.
The trailer looked amazing.
It's a quality trailer. So I mean, we'll see, because Batman on his own does do it, doesn't he? He sells so many tickets. Not like it used to. It used to be Batman and everybody else, didn't it? Now it's not. But I'd be interested to see how it works. But no, it's funny you should make the point with the DC ones. It's frustrating because I'm a fan of both, but I started out on Batman and moved on my way through the DC characters and then found Marvel.
Yeah.
So I really want to see a Justice League film, but it's because what's weird with DC is it's almost like they get everything else right. Like their animated films are amazing. If you ever see any of them, they're so good. Well, a lot of them are good. They've tailed off a bit in recent years. And then their games, they seem to, until recently, they were smashing the games with like Arkham games and stuff. And then TV as well, to some extent, they smashed that. But just in films, they just can't seem to keep up.
I agree, actually, because the DC stuff, I mean, Matt used to wind me up because he used to say I was the only person watching it. But I used to watch Arrow when that started. I used to watch The Flash.
I did.
But
there was two of you.
I finally found you.
Hey guys, 2 people in the UK have watched it. It was like, with Arrow. I remember watching. I used to watch it, and it'd be like, who's the villain? Nah, the guy with a bow and arrow, innit? Yeah. Oh, the Flash. Who's the villain? Nah, another guy who runs fast. Maybe next series. Nah, another guy who runs fast.
But this is the thing, and then they kind of. Well, that's exactly it. And then you're on series 7 or whatever, and you think they're still doing the same thing. It got to a point because even the missus was watching it with me, and she'd go like, "Oh, is it on tonight?" But it got to a point where we were both like, and the same kind of happened a little bit with Shield, with Agents Shield, which I know Matt watched as well. It kind of got to. I remember that one where they woke up and they were in space, and I was like, I'm not feeling
that's
this
where
anymore.
I dialed out. That was it. I just didn't buy into it. Well, they weren't in space; they were sort of in the future, weren't they? I think.
TV's where it gets really oversaturated, isn't it? Because Americans just go, "Hey, you think you can do TV? How about 24 episodes a series?" You're like, I can't do it. I've got to eat and drink and sleep. But
and we're gonna have a 10-week pause in the middle as well, so you've forgotten everything that happened.
And it was the same. It was the same with the Netflix ones. So one of my favorite ever series is Daredevil. So I think
I love Daredevil.
I think the first series of Daredevil is one of the finest series of television, and the other 2 series of Daredevil are okay. Well, they're pretty good, but then it's like Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Punisher, Luke Cage. And it was relentless. And you're watching it series going, this doesn't need to be 10 episodes. And
that's why, I mean, we're crossing over into the series here, but that's fine. That's why I think we've been talking. Have you seen WandaVision?
And they got that right.
So right.
Perfect.
So right. And it fills you with confidence, because I think a lot of people, I know Mark, who sent us in this question, he was a little bit pessimistic about the whole. This kind of saga seems like they have to really, is throw a lot of series at it because of the cinemas and things like that. But I think it worked, and I know Mark agrees. I hope that with Falcon and Winter Soldier, which obviously comes out this week. I hope that the episodes are a little bit longer, because I felt that WandaVision was done right, because it was based on it.
That
being
was a
sitcom,
strength, it being shorter.
So
Definitely, I think.
my understanding of the Falcon Winter Soldier, I think I've got this right, is it's 6 hours. So it's 6-hour episodes rather than WandaVision being 9.
I'm down with that.
like
Well,
9,
each
14.
episode is 6 hours.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Yeah. It's a 56-hour series.
But the initial the initial reviews are that episode 1 of that, which comes out, is like movie epic,
Yeah.
like action.
Well, that's what I found with WandaVision, though. You was watching WandaVision, and I don't think you could separate the quality of WandaVision from any of the movies. Like it was just perfection.
Disney have got it
Like,
right on that, haven't they? They've done that with Mandalorian as well.
Smashing it.
Yeah,
It's just like
definitely.
they know what they're doing, because there's a through line, isn't there, of there's one producer making the decisions and they plot in the storylines, whereas like back to DC, it is just like, what we doing? Don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
They
Wonder
just
Woman
turn
comes out,
up. All right, lads, what are we doing
Yeah.
today?
Batman, more Batman. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, no, this is Wonder Woman. Nah, Batman. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
We need a new Joker in there.
Yeah. Hey, how about 3 separate Joker films? Oh, why not? Do something else. Yeah.
But that's it. That's another
the
issue.
Joker film, though, the more recent one, with Joaquin Phoenix,
one.
amazing.
Amazing
Absolutely.
film.
Yeah.
Not a Joker film, though. That's
No,
my
it wasn't,
take on
but it was, for me, it was, but it really sort of captured the Joker as a character, I thought.
that. Yeah.
And that was the great thing. It was a really good film, but it just happened to have that Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reference, you know what I mean,
If you
isn't it?
take the Joker thing out, it's a guy having a mental breakdown.
Mm,
And that's
Yeah.
fine. Again, it's a fact. But then might be a controversial opinion, but so I don't think anyone has got the Joker right on a film yet.
really.
Okay,
That
The
is
Dark
very
Knight-
Anyone.
Anyway, so The Dark Knight, right, is a film that means so much to me personally. I
Mm.
was 18 when that came out. I went to watch it on my own on opening night because I was so
Yeah.
excited for it. And I was just a sad little teenager. But anyway, and Heath Ledger's Joker absolutely blew my mind.
Amazing.
Fits
Yeah.
within the world of that film. It really, really fits. But it's
Yeah.
not. It isn't like the comic book Joker. It's not really what he's like. That Joker has informed the comic books since then. But if you read, for me, if you read the comics around things like Death in the Family and Killing Joke, it's not quite that.
Yeah.
So, but we're yet to see it. And it might be that, yeah, exactly. Killing Joke, amazing.
Not mine.
It's mine.
It's amazing. It's an amazing book. The cartoon adaptation of it, I've got issues with, but I'll let you read the book first before you watch that. But yeah, so I don't know if they've quite got it right yet, but I suppose that might be, my own interpretation of it. It's not that I don't enjoy any of them. I actually enjoy all of them. Well, except Jared Leto, but we'll stick a pin in him, literally.
Although the version that's in this Zack Snyder cut is supposed to be.
I have heard that.
Really good.
And he's a very, very good actor. I just don't know if his version in Suicide Squad was what I would want. Like,
Matt,
tattoos
do
and stuff.
you think he's a better actor or a better singer?
I don't know. He's all right singing. He's good at effing, really, isn't he? He's one of those annoying people that can
He
put
is.
his hand to quite a few different things. But I like him as an actor. I think he's, you
Yeah, I
can
mean,
warm
Dallas
to a lot
Buyers
of his
Club.
characters. Yeah.
Dallas Buyers Club, he gives an amazing performance in that. Requiem for a Dream. He's a very fine actor.
Yeah.
He's the sort of guy who definitely he's the sort of guy that just doesn't work out, but he looks like that.
Yeah. That's it.
He'd be like you bump into, what do you do to stay in shape? Nothing, man.
Yeah.
Diet and exercise. It's not that. though, is it?
I've had
You've got a personal
McDonald's
trainer.
for every meal for the last 6 months.
I just stay skinny.
I just
Oh,
look
you
like
fuck
this.
yourself.
We hope you're listening, Jared.
Yeah. Joining them next week on This Week in Metropolis, Jared.
So, in answer to Mark's question, Matt, you agree 4 hours too long?
Oh god, definitely. For me, it's the which I've moaned at James many a time for. James lent me the box set of Lord of the Rings, the extended cuts.
cut.
And you're still mates.
I despise Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I do.
can't stand it. Good. And my son watched it start to
Loved
finish.
it.
I couldn't get out of the room quick enough. Like when it went on, 4 hours of that. My God, yeah.
Was that Ben or Leo?
Ben was watching that.
Yeah. So me and your 12 or 11 now.
12.
11 or 12. 12-year-old son. We're on the same level, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Good. Which is weird because one of the things is I do love Lord of the Rings, and I could quite happily watch that all again. And that's one of the reasons why, and we'll come back around full circle here. It's one of the reasons why people said to me I would love Game of Thrones, but it's all that hype thing. But we've gone over that. So going back to the our top 3 underrated films, I'll give you one of mine, and it kind of links to something that Josh has already said about kind of a film that kind of you've got a connection to it with your friends as well. And I actually mentioned it, Matt, on our live episode last week. It's The Girl Next Door, which was Alicia Cuthbert in it. I was a young lad, and I remember me, Mark was there, and our best mate Steve, who's been on the show, and we went to see this at the cinema. And I remember it was empty. It shows you that it weren't people going there in the masses to see it. But I just remember it just being a really cool film. And I remember this line where it was, and the main character in it and his 2 friends, and they said, "We're a fucking tripod." And I remember us 3 kind of all looking at each other like, we're a fucking tripod. And that was it. Like it was, and I said to Matt the other day, I said, there's really good music in it. The Baba O'Reilly song by The Who, Matt.
Classic The Who.
Yeah, and every time, and I'd only heard that song on the radio the other day, and I went, oh God, and it takes you back there. And I think it's not kind of, Oscar worthy or anything like that, but it's a cool film. And the funny thing is that have you seen it, Josh?
Yeah, many years ago. But yeah, I remember it, like you were saying, just it being like a good sort of sex comedy type thing, bit of a
yeah, exactly.
A few other things,
and it is that kind of, as a young lad at the time, the girl, that hot girl next door, and all that stuff. The story you could kind of relate to as a young lad. Yeah. So, but there being that, I remember there being that the guy in it who I've seen crop up in so many other things since. I think he was in, was it Tad Hamilton or something like that? I mean, again, that was 1 year ago. It was one that probably one of my girlfriends at the time wanted to watch, but he crops up in. And
I definitely didn't want
definitely
to watch
not
it.
me.
No,
I didn't want to see it.
I'd never pick that.
But yeah, you see him crop up in things. But again, it's one of them films that you can kind of have some sort of connection to. For me,
wasn't Paul Dano?
What was it? What?
Because Paul Dano's in The Girl Next Door, and he is going to be playing the Riddler in the background.
Right. Okay.
In There Will Be Blood and Little Miss Sunshine, a few other things. But
right, okay.
yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, like the whole going to see a film and relating to it. So I remember going to watch, and again, you'll probably relate, me may relate to this, like a load of people did. 2009, The Hangover comes out. Everyone goes to watch it. We're the Wolfpack. Everyone's the Wolfpack. Every group of friends is the Wolfpack. There is only one true Wolfpack, and it is our friendship group. And then, like a year later, you go, God, that was embarrassing, wasn't it? Like we all said.
but isn't there always?
Why do we get these tattoos?
Yeah. Remember we did the shots
always...
and we did the speech. Oh, it's so shit.
There's always that thing in your circle of friends or your group of friends that go and you go, which character's who? Like you're that one.
Like Friends.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Matt, what was your second one?
Well, actually, I've changed it because I thought of one while I was on the show. Boogie Nights, which I don't know whether either of you have seen.
Yeah.
Which I think is an awesome film. I remember going to see that in the cinema, and it was
you think that was underrated?
Yeah, I do.
Is it? I always think, in my head, I think of it as being
when it came out, I think it was quite critically acclaimed, but it wasn't a big film. And I think now, I don't know whether it's a film that a lot of people would. Don't know whether know of or sort of like be a regular watch for many people. It'd be quite a forgotten gem. But I just think it's brilliant. The story and, and the fact it's sort of slightly based on John Holmes, the porn star and his life as such and where he went wrong. Mark Wahlberg, I think, plays a brilliant character, and it was one of his early roles.
Mm.
And I find Mark Wahlberg, but sort of take it or leave it with him. He's quite not the greatest actor in the world, but he
can do some things very well.
He's a functional actor, if you know what I mean, in a lot of films.
Yeah, he can do angry Boston police officer or angry Boston person.
Yeah,
very, very.
But whereas in Boogie Nights, he was playing someone who wasn't too bright,
and he is good. He is good in Boogie Nights.
Yeah, and he was quite good at playing like the almost like a lovable idiot in that. But yeah, and just the whole arc of the film, starting with like him starting out through to his sort of not demise, like as such, but like in terms of his career unraveling and his drugs and whatever. But the other cast in it, like Burt Reynolds in it, and Julianne Moore,
John C. Reilly,
of course, amazing cast in it. I absolutely loved that when I first saw it. Yeah.
Yeah,
my second one is by the way, I was going to throw in Jerry Maguire, but I think it is
I don't think that's underrated.
I don't think it's underrated.
Which is good. Jerry Maguire.
I've never seen it though. I've never seen it. Right? I'm one of these
get any reference from the 90s about You Had Me at Hello and Tear and Show Me the Money.
I get mocked because there are so many films that they'll go at work or whatever, or say, "Oh yeah, what about this?" And I've never seen that. I've seen it. Jerry Maguire's one, but I just never fancied it. It was a chick flick, and it just looked terrible. So I
don't class it as a chick flick.
It's not.
I'll need to watch it.
It's really good because I love Cameron Crowe, the guy who wrote it, because he also made Almost Famous.
Do you know what? My previous second one was a Cameron Crowe film, which is a film called Singles, which I absolutely love. Just because it's got an amazing soundtrack and it's got people from Pearl Jam and so on in it. And that was the film that influenced Friends, basically. And sort of they approached Cameron Crowe and said, we'd like to turn Singles, because it's about a group of single people and their relationships. We'd like to turn this into a TV series. And he said, no, I don't fancy that. And then they made
it then.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. Instead of being in Seattle and then moved to New York, they put very similar but different enough characters. Just took the idea and did it.
Nice. I've never actually seen that, but I do like Cameron Crowe, so I'll check it out.
Really good film.
Well, my second one is a Netflix movie. And I thought about it beforehand, and then when I was doing a bit of research to see other films that were kind of listed, and it came up in there, I thought that's interesting. Annihilation.
I remember you talking about that.
With one of your favourites, Matt, Natalie Portman. No, Matt's not like weird or anything, like creepy. He's not stalking her.
Love you, Natalie.
Yeah, love you.
Coming on next week.
Yeah. Run away with me, Natalie Portman.
but I absolutely loved it. I've watched it 2 or 3 times as well, and I did. I told you, Matt. I told friends, family, all that.
Never watched it.
I think it. Yeah, no, you very rarely do. Yeah. But yeah, it's. Have you seen it, Josh?
No, so it's been on my your list on Netflix. It's been on there for ages, but I like Alex Garland because he wrote 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
And he made Ex Machina, which if you've not seen that, that's a really, really good film.
Yes,
I think he made...
yes, cool.
Yeah, so I've always come to watch it, and it's just you just never get to it because you're constantly adding crap onto your list, and occasionally you flick through and you go, oh yeah, that.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that the film, I thought it was brilliant. The ending still kind of confuses me a bit, but not to a point where I go. Like I watched The Night Sky with George Clooney.
The one he made that sort of like it came out around Christmas.
And it's one of them films where I got to, was that it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we watched it. I think my father-in-law put it on Christmas Day when people were getting ready, and it was just me and him sitting in the front room. Everyone's getting ready, and after about an hour, we both went, "Christmas, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Put Jingle All the Way on. Put Elf on, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of my feel on that film. But with Annihilation, you kind of get to the end and it's almost like you're trying to work out what it is that's happened. Yeah. So then I watch it again. Still haven't worked it out. But For me, yeah. Again, like you two, you haven't seen it, and it's probably because I don't know whether it's not. Like I say, it's a bit kind of under the radar to some extent. You know it's there. You know it's kind of supposed to be pretty good, but people aren't just going for it. So that was mine. But Josh, hit us with your third one.
What have I said so far?
If you can.
Warrior and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang I've said so far, haven't I? Underrated. What is underrated? Do you know what I'm going to say, right? And this is another one we've done on the podcast, and I'll give you an honourable mention after this, which we haven't done on the podcast because I don't know if we ever will. One of mine, and we've done this on the podcast. I've already said that, haven't I? Is The Mask of Zorro.
Never seen
I
it.
love that film. Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, so I think it's like a template for the perfect blockbuster. It's like you just watch it and you're just carried away onto this world of like swashbuckling, sword fights, and horse chases and all this, and it's just brilliant. It's like it's action packed, it's sexy, it's just great. And
I love Antonio Banderas. I think
brilliant.
brilliant.
Antonio Banderas,
and
this is peak.
Anthony
Antonio
Hopkins
Banderas.
was in it as well, wasn't he?
Anthony Hopkins in it, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Zeta-Jones, yeah.
It's just brilliant. It's just
seen
really
that.
good, like swashbuckling. It's the same guy who did Casino Royale and Green Lantern, actually, Martin Campbell. And it's just one of them. I always come back to it. It's like a Sunday afternoon film. It's just stick it on. I just want to be entertained. I don't want to think. I just want to watch a bit of sword fighting. And it's like, I think it doesn't get the credit it deserves because it came sort of just before Pirates of the Caribbean. And I know a lot of people don't have a lot of time for Pirates of the Caribbean, but that first one really did give a lot. I think I've got a lot of time for the first Pirates of the Caribbean because, again, it's just a great sort of blockbuster film. And some people can get a bit snooty about blockbuster films as if they don't mean anything. But at the end of the day, the cinema is there for loads of reasons, and one of those reasons is to just go in and be entertained. You pay your 700 quid or however much a cinema ticket is now, and you just forget about your life for a bit, and that's why people like these massive fantasy films, whether you do or don't like fantasy. So that'd probably be one. Mask of Zorro. It's just a good time.
And it's the sort of film, certainly if you've seen it, that if you switch it over, if you're switching through the channels and it's half the way through, it's one of them ones you haven't got to sit from the beginning and watch it.
Yeah, it's not complicated.
No, and I agree. I mean, you joked about DVDs earlier. I had that on VHS.
Oh,
and I
think I did.
Old school.
Yeah. Remember VHSs?
Yeah.
You could buy 10 and then your shelf was full.
That'll do.
I can't even have all the James Bonds, but I'll have those ones. I used to have all the James Bonds taped off the telly.
Wow.
So when you think about old adverts and stuff, all of mine comes from watching James Bond films where it's like ITV adverts from like 1998 and stuff. They're like the millennium is coming and all that. Like, but you're exactly right. Yeah, it's a great film. I think I had it on video as well. I've never even seen the second one actually, but
no, I don't think I have either.
Yeah,
Matt, what's your? Is it your ultimate one? Did you say your number one? Or is this just
my order now is just any sort of old order, to be honest. It's the Italian Job, but the new one, or the more recent one, that he's ashamed again.
I don't think we've ever had a guest
who's good though.
It's
good to get a reaction. The thing is,
it's the Italian Job in name only, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Completely. But that's the thing.
Film.
I remember when it came out, and it was you remade the Italian Job. Oh, it's going to be rubbish or whatever. It's a good film. Exactly. It doesn't, apart from them stealing something, essentially. It's not really got any connection to the original Italian Job. But
same name, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's called Charlie, and Michael Caine's called Charlie, and that's about it.
Exactly. It's an enjoyable film. It's got Mark Wahlberg, Charlize Theron, Donald Sutherland,
Edward Norton looking like he doesn't want to be there.
Edward Norton, and
because he only did that.
Jason Statham.
I think Edward Norton did that film because he was like contracted for something else.
Really?
And you hear like a musician's contracted to like Warner Brothers, and they don't want to be with them anymore, so they just release like 3 shit albums in a year.
Yeah,
it's like he just went. I will get it. I will do it. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
I'm Edward Norton. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Doing
that's it. I'm a serious actor.
But yeah, no, it's like you say, it is just a good
It's a
blockbuster.
really enjoyable film.
If it wasn't called The Italian Job,
Yeah, exactly.
then it would not come with the baggage, and it would have been considered much better.
Exactly that. I think it's brilliant. I'd love it, and that's another one where, just a sort of mindless entertainment. And again, if it's on, it's quite frequently on sort of ITV 2 or 3 or whatever.
All the big films are.
Yeah, and you'll flick over sort of on a Thursday night. Oh, The Italian Job's on. Yeah, I'll watch that. That's
It's
then Hot
even one of
Fuzz.
them. Yeah, it's
Then
a
Back
Hot
to the
Fuzz
Future.
and all the American Pies.
Yeah,
There you go.
all 15 of them.
Yeah.
Well, my one would be a film that I want to say he wrote the film as well, or was the director for it. But Zach Braff went through a period where he was releasing awesome films. I mean, Garden State was one. Garden State was one, but there was others.
Yeah.
But the one for me was The Last Kiss.
Oh yeah.
And again, for me, I was a bit older when I watched this, and I just remember it being like, it kind of reflecting, and we probably all do it. I mean, I don't know how old you are, Josh. I'm guessing we're all a similar age, but I'm 35.
22, 21, 22. Prime, in my prime.
You have got very good film knowledge. But anyway, and it was about him having a midlife crisis, and you know, that kind of having his head turned and kind of thinking, is this life now? You know, a kid on the way and all this stuff. Married, I'm settled down, I've got a house, everything's perfect. Is that it? You know, and for me, it was quite a powerful film in that respect, and it wasn't even a happy ending. I don't think. I think he got caught, and then he sits on her doorstep day in, day out to try and kind of win her back. But it kind of, I don't know. It was pretty bleak in places, but at the same time, it still had a kind of, you and your mates growing up, you've got to that age. Do you know what I mean? And each character was kind of in a different scenario as well. Obviously, Zach Braff was the lead, but yeah, just kind of, I don't know. It kind of, I say meant a lot. Not that I've been through any of that stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of, I don't know. It was just quite a powerful film, but not one that was kind of a massive hit.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it.
Get it on your podcast.
I will. Yeah.
Or buy it on Amazon when we finish.
Yeah, for £9, and then try and explain to my other half why I spent £9 on a film. I have to check that out.
Yeah. Well, we have got just before we wrap up, we have got another question. Now, you talk about underrated and underappreciated films, and as you've mentioned, other films as well now. But who would you say is your top underrated actor?
Top underrated actor.
And I haven't told you about that in advance, so it is on the fly.
It's a good shout. I'd maybe say someone.
It was Matt's question.
People always say, you know, greatest actors are the same people, don't they? Say Leo, or, you know, back in the day, De Niro. Who is the greatest actor? So I actually think, and a lot of people may disagree with me this, but I do think that someone who is really doing it at the moment is Adam Driver. I think Adam Driver's a fantastic. I think Adam Driver's a fantastic actor. I remember having a discussion with a friend when the Oscars came around. Yeah, I was punching him in the face, and and
then he agreed.
And we were talking about whether Joaquin Phoenix should win the Oscar for Joker, and I sort of said, you know, he gives an amazing performance. I would have no problem with him winning the Oscar for Joker, but I think Adam Driver should win it for Marriage Story.
Yeah.
And he said, why? And I said, because what he's doing in Marriage Story is so much harder than what Joker is doing, because although he gives quite a real portrayal of Joker, and it's not to decry what he's doing, he gives a fantastic performance, and he does things with the character, and you know, they do a lot of backstory for him. But Adam Driver portrays someone who is not very likable. He's not necessarily a good dude. He doesn't treat his partner or his son very well. He's very up himself, but he has to come to terms with that because his wife and him get a divorce. and as the marriage story plays out. Have you seen Marriage Story?
No, I know the film you mean, but
So as it-
I've
as it
seen
play-
it. I've seen it.
So as it plays out, he plays a guy who's sort of trying to come to grips with a divorce, and I just think he does this really real. He does a really realistic portrayal of someone who's losing things that are really close to him, like. And the dialogue in that film and the arguments they have are so real. And a lot of couples probably wouldn't care to admit it because they do say things like, you know, I hate you. And they say some really vile stuff to each other. But that happens if you've ever been in an unhappy relationship, or that happens if you are having a hard time. It does happen. And I think him and Scarlett Johansson, who is another underrated actor, do a really good job in that. So I'd probably say Adam Driver. Or another one that comes to mind is the guy I mentioned before, who's Paul Dano.
Yeah,
who a lot of people. He's not yet a household name, but he's a very, very good actor. If you ever seen Little Miss Sunshine, he does a little moment in that where he plays the son. I won't spoil it in case anyone's not seen Little Miss Sunshine, but there's a moment where his character realizes something about himself and he has a bit of a breakdown, and it's incredible. But then he's also good in There Will Be Blood. He's also good in he did a film with his wife called Ruby Sparks, which is really worth checking out. So one of those two, Adam Driver or Paul Dano. I'm trying to think of a lady, because I also don't want to be accused of just saying blokes. Emma Thompson, but she's not really underrated, is she? Because she's amazing.
That's the thing. I think a lot of female actresses or actors now are kind of at the forefront, and that's the thing. That,
amazing.
Like Olivia Colman and people like that.
Colman,
they're huge now.
Imelda Staunton is another one. She doesn't get a lot of credit. If you ever seen anything Imelda Staunton does, Brenda Blethyn. I tell you someone who I think who is a very good actor who's not done that. Well, she has done stuff, but she's only just made it, if you like. Is Tessa Thompson? She's very good. She's good in the Creed. Obviously, she's good in Thor.
Valkyrie,
Valkyrie and Thor.
Do you know what I was thinking actually for a female, and it's only because I've watched it relatively recently, is Lady Gaga in A Star Is Born. I thought she was awesome.
I'm not emotionally ready to talk about that film. After watching it.
Mate, that's powerful.
It's one of the best films I've seen in the last couple of years. That.
Yeah. I mean, my only issue with it, I thought she was amazing. I sat there for a lot of it and couldn't understand a word Bradley Cooper was saying.
Yeah, I think he's doing an impression of his brother, isn't he? Of Sam Neill. So I know what you mean. He does a lot of isn't he? Like all the way through it, but
the story. The thing is, if you know the story and you can loosely follow it anyway. It's just pretty. It's just one of them moments.
I'll tell you another actor as well. Octavia Spencer. She's in.
Isn't she in? I want to say Black Panther. I'm probably wrong.
No, she's. I don't think she's in Black Panther.
No, I've seen her on Graham Norton before. I know exactly.
She's in. So she did a film a few years ago called Hidden Figures.
Right.
Where it's her and Taraji P. Henson and Janelle Monáe, and they play the three black ladies who worked at NASA in the 50s or 60s, I think. Yeah. And obviously, it's all about the segregation at the time and how they were treated. And it's honestly, it's such a good film. You should definitely check that out. But she is one of the standouts in it for me. She's brilliant. I mean, all three of them are brilliant in it, but she is particularly good in it.
Well, I think that's the end of this episode. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, Josh, for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you on again. I think we could have talked for hours about movies and stuff. So
that's always the problem, isn't
it? Exactly. Where can our listeners and viewers find you on social media and so forth?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to get hold of me, I'm Joshie McSquashy, Joshie McSquashy, spelt the usual way, obviously. On Twitter and Instagram, and then the pod is just films and that on any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah. Please do check us out.
Yeah, we will add the links to your show in the comments and so forth. So once again, Josh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. Don't forget, if you did enjoy it, please like, subscribe on whatever platform you're watching and listening on, because then that way you won't miss out on any future episodes we put out.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms as well. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and give us a follow, and you'll be able to keep up to date with all of the latest episodes and posts that we put out there. But thank you for listening and watching.
And we'll see you next episode.